It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hello, my fellow queens. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices, where we challenge outdated narratives, heal old wounds, embrace our authentic selves, and occasionally make the patriarchy extremely uncomfortable. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, psychotherapist, feminist life coach, and your queen bee of this particular hive. Today's episode is one I've been excited to create because we are going to talk about something that's becoming increasingly popular among women around the world: modern magic. Stay with me. Now, before anyone starts imagining broomsticks, cauldrons, or turning ex-boyfriends into frogs, although let's be true, some of them deserve at least temporary amphibian status, we are talking about something much bigger than Hollywood stereotypes. We're talking about the modern movement of women reclaiming spirituality, ritual, intention, nature, symbolism, and personal empowerment through practices commonly described as witchcraft, paganism, folk magic, energy work, moon rituals, manifestation, herbal traditions, ancestor work, and countless individualized spiritual practices. Some women identify as witches. Some don't. Some follow organized pagan religions. Some blend psychology with spirituality. Some simply light a candle during meditation. And here's the beautiful part: there's no right way. Today's modern magic is deeply personal. And I think that's exactly why so many women are embracing it. So let's explore what modern magic actually is, where it came from, why it's becoming so popular, what psychology says about ritual, and how women are reclaiming practices that for centuries were misunderstood, demonized, or outright persecuted. Let's dive in. What is modern magic? Let's start with an important distinction. Modern magic is not one single belief system. Instead, it's an umbrella term covering countless spiritual and symbolic practices. Some examples include witchcraft, Wicca, pagan traditions, hedge witchcraft, green witchcraft, kitchen witchcraft, lunar rituals, crystal work, herbalism, tarot, oracle cards, astrology, candle rituals, ancestor honoring, meditation, manifestation practices, nature spirituality, energy healing, intentional rituals. Some people believe these practices involve literal spiritual energy. Others see them as psychological tools for mindfulness and intention. Others simply enjoy the symbolism. Many combine all three. There is not a governing body deciding who qualifies. Modern magic is often deeply individualized. Now let's talk about women in magic throughout history. And here's something that history often leaves out. Women have always been healers, midwives, herbalists, caretakers, wise women, community counselors, story keepers. For thousands of years, women passed knowledge from generation to generation. Knowledge about plants, childbirth, medicine, nutrition, emotional healing, seasons, astronomy, agriculture. Many historians argue that much of what later became labeled witchcraft originally consisted of women's traditional knowledge. Then came fear, political power, religious control, misogyny. The infamous witch hunts between roughly the 15th and 18th centuries resulted in tens of thousands of executions across Europe and colonial America, with the majority of those accused being women, though men were targeted. Accusations often had little to do with actual magical practices and much more to do with social tensions, property disputes, sexism, religious conflict, and fear of independent or marginalized people. Independent women made people nervous. Older women made people nervous. Women without husbands made people nervous. Women who own land made people nervous. Women who spoke confidently made people nervous. Sound familiar? The labels have changed, but the discomfort with powerful women has not completely disappeared. So, why are so many women interested in modern magic today? This isn't happening by accident. There are several reasons. Women are craving spirituality without rigid rules. Many women have experienced religious trauma. Others simply want a spiritual practice that feels more flexible. Modern magic allows people to explore spirituality without requiring perfection. It also encourages intuition. Women spend much of their lives being told not to trust themselves. I being one of them. Think about it. How often have women heard, "You're too emotional, you're imagining things, you're overreacting"? Modern magical practices often encourage asking, "What do I feel? What does my intuition say? What do I need?" Psychologically, reconnecting with internal awareness can support healthier decision-making and self-trust, provided it is balanced with critical thinking and reality-based judgment. And then we've got ritual that reduces anxiety. Here's where psychology becomes fascinating. Research consistently shows rituals can reduce stress. Why? Because rituals create predictability, mindfulness, meaning, intentional focus. Lighting a candle, taking deep breaths, writing intentions, journaling, creating sacred space. These activities calm the nervous system. Whether someone attributes that to psychology, spirituality, or both is a personal choice. And another thing, nature feels healing. Modern life disconnects us from natural rhythms. Many magical traditions encourage reconnecting with seasons, forests, oceans, gardens, moon cycles, sunlight. Psychology already tells us that spending time in nature can improve mood, reduce stress, and support overall well-being. This must be why I, personally, am so attracted to some of the concepts that are labeled as magic or witchcraft. And there are different types of modern witchcraft. And one of my favorite things about today's magical community is how creative it has become. People personalize everything. Let's look at some examples. One of my favorites, this is one that I really resonate with, so I'm starting with the Green Witch. These practitioners work closely with plants, gardening, herbs, forests, and natural cycles. Their, quote, magic often involves caring for nature while also caring for themselves. And then we've got the Kitchen Witch. Cooking becomes ritual. Tea becomes meditation. Baking becomes intention. Preparing food becomes an act of love and healing. And honestly, I think many grandmothers qualified as kitchen witches long before anyone called them that. And then we've got the hedge witch, who is traditionally connected with folklore, herbs, spirit work, and personal intuition. Many hedge witches practice largely on their own rather than within organized groups, or sometimes in certain practices they are called covens. And then we've got the eclectic witch, probably the fastest growing witch category. These practitioners borrow from multiple traditions: a little tarot, some meditation, moon rituals, yoga, herbal teas, psychology, mindfulness. Their practice becomes uniquely theirs. So I guess if someone were to label me a witch, I guess I'd have to identify as the eclectic type. And then we've got the secular witch. This one surprises people because not everyone practicing witchcraft believes in supernatural forces. Some use ritual entirely symbolically or totally separate from religion or spirituality. Tarot becomes self-reflection. Candles become intention. Moon rituals become monthly goal setting. It's less about magic happening to them and more about creating mindful moments. Now, let's talk about tarot. Tarot has exploded in popularity. Some people believe tarot predicts the future. Others, including many therapists, use tarot cards as reflective prompts. For example, pulling the Hermit card might involve questions like, where do I need solitude? What wisdom am I overlooking? What am I avoiding? The cards don't have to tell your future to help you explore your inner world. They are amazing at guiding your own self-reflection. And then I've got to say, the moon is having quite the comeback. Have you noticed how many women talk about full moons now? Moon rituals have actually become incredibly popular. Examples include releasing old habits, setting intentions, journaling, meditation, gratitude, self-care nights. Whether or not you believe celestial bodies influence energy, using the lunar cycle as a recurring reminder to reflect and reset can be a very meaningful personal practice. And again, this can happen even if you identify as a Christian or identify as Hindu. It does not mean that this tramples all over your religious beliefs. And now let's talk crystals. Magic or mindfulness? Crystals are another area where beliefs vary widely. Some people believe crystals hold energetic properties. Others appreciate them for beauty, symbolism, or as tangible reminders of personal intentions. Holding a favorite stone before a difficult meeting may not change the universe, but it can remind you to ground yourself, breathe, and reconnect with your goals. I have a rock in one of the pockets of a coat that I got so it was when I was a therapist working in an addiction agency. And we did lots and lots of continuing education there. And so I went to one on mindfulness. And one of the exercises we did, we each picked a rock from a jar that was being passed around, and we did some mindfulness exercises with it. Well, in the middle of this training, I got a phone call, and it was about my dog, who was 4.5 years old at the time, cute little pug named Mojo. I got a call from the vet. He was at the emergency hospital, and we were getting a second opinion on him. And it was the moment that I found out that we had to put him down, that there was nothing that we could do. And I remember I was like really cold in this training. And so I had stuck my hand in my pocket as I was talking to the vet on the phone, and my hand curled around that rock that I had picked up just a few minutes ago during that training. And I remember just gripping the rock and holding it and squeezing it and rubbing it, and I was trying so hard not to burst into tears, and that rock grounded me. So, again, do I believe it has any, like, magical properties? I guess it depends on what you define as magic, but that rock is a grounding tool for me. It's an anchor for me. And this has been, what, 13 years maybe? I think it was about 13 years ago. And I still have that rock. And I will tell you, if I ever lose that rock, it's still in the same exact pocket. If I ever lose it, I might have a mini meltdown. But again, this is me and my personal experience. And now when I go hiking, which is like a new passion of mine, I pick up rocks that attract me to them. Not because I'm attaching any, I mean, some might say it's a little woo-woo, but I just feel drawn to things. I feel drawn to nature. So again, some people might label me a witch. But anyway, when it comes to crystals themselves, I think they're gorgeous. They are beautiful. I love pretty, shiny things. Do I think that holding a rose quartz will, I don't know, if I was single, would I think that it would bring the love of my life into my life? I don't know about that. I don't have enough evidence to believe that, but there are people who would absolutely believe that, and that's the beauty of choice. You get to figure it all out on your own. You don't need to follow anyone else's practices. So I'm still going to pick up rocks that I find are cool, because that's just what I like to do. Now, let's talk about what psychology says about ritual. As a psychotherapist, this is where I get really excited. I nerd out about stuff like this. The human brain loves meaning. When we intentionally create rituals, our brains pay attention. Intentional rituals can reduce anxiety, improve emotional regulation, create habits, reinforce identity, increase mindfulness, encourage gratitude, and support resilience. Think about birthday candles, wedding rings, graduation ceremonies, funerals, holiday traditions. Human beings are ritual-making creatures. Modern magic often taps into that deeply human tendency. And now, we've got to talk about the shadow side. Let's also stay grounded. Modern magic should never replace therapy, medical care, evidence-based treatment, critical thinking, or personal responsibility. Healthy spirituality should empower you, not frighten you, not isolate you, not pressure you into spending money, not convince you that someone else has all the answers. Whether you're working with tarot, prayer, meditation, affirmations, or moon rituals, your intuition and discernment still matter. If someone claims that they alone can remove curses, fix every problem, or guarantee outcomes for a fee, that's a bit of a red flag. Now let's talk about how women are personalizing their practice. This is probably my favorite part of the modern movement. Women are creating practices that actually fit their lives. Some examples: morning coffee or tea with intention. This is one that I do every day. As I stir my tea, I set the intention for the day. Through the use of daily affirmations, I actually combine affirmations with my morning tea intention. Then we've got nature walks, Yet another one of my favorites. Creating seasonal altars. I know women who do this. They decorate for different seasons or different deities of their choice. Journaling. Journaling is a personalization of modern magical practices. And of course, meditation. Essential oils, creative art, gardening, moon rituals, ancestor recipes, herbal tea rituals, dance, yoga, poetry, prayer, breath work, volunteering, acts of kindness. Some women never use the word witch. Others proudly do. Both are valid. Modern magic is not about fitting into someone else's box. It's about building a practice that reflects your values, your culture, your experiences, and your sense of meaning. Just like that damn rock in my pocket, I find meaning attached to that rock. There was emotion involved in that moment when I chose to ground myself with touching that rock, and it will forever be with me. That sense of meaning that I have, and I embrace it. All right. So if today's conversation has sparked your curiosity, here are a few ways to begin exploring your own version of modern magic, whether you identify as spiritual, secular, religious, or somewhere in between. The first step is to create a daily intention ritual. Spend just 5 minutes each morning asking yourself, what energy do I want to bring into today? What do I need from myself? How do I want to show up? You can write it down. Light a candle if you'd like. Take 3 slow breaths and let that become your anchor. Next, I'm going to push this on everyone because I'm a freak about nature. So this next piece is start a nature practice. Choose one day each week to intentionally connect with nature. Walk in a park. Tend a plant. Watch the sunset. Notice the changing seasons. Nature has a remarkable way of helping us slow down and reconnect with ourselves. Next, build a personal symbol. Find an object that represents strength to you, whether it's a stone, a piece of jewelry, a feather, a meaningful quote, or a photograph. Let it remind you of your resilience whenever you need encouragement. Next, keep a reflection journal. Instead of asking, will this happen to me, or why is this happening to me? Try asking, what am I learning? What am I resisting? What strengths of mine am I overlooking? What would my wisest self do? These questions cultivate insight and growth. And finally, define your own magic. Ask yourself, what makes me feel powerful, connected, peaceful, and authentic? Your answer may look nothing like someone else's, and that's exactly the point. All right, ladies, time for our affirmation of the week. First, take a deep breath with me. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. Feel your strength. And then repeat after me. My power comes from within. I trust my intuition, honor my wisdom, and create a life that reflects my authentic self. I don't need permission to be powerful. I already am. I absolutely love this affirmation because it reminds us that modern magic isn't about waiting for someone else to hand us power. It's about recognizing that the spark we've been searching for has been inside us all along. Whether your, quote, magic is therapy, meditation, gardening, prayer, painting, moon rituals, volunteering, raising children with compassion, speaking up in meetings, or finally setting boundaries, your practice becomes magical when it helps you grow into the truest version of yourself. That is the kind of magic that no one can take away. Magic has worn many faces throughout history. Sometimes it looked like herbal medicine. Sometimes it looked like women's wisdom. Sometimes it looked like community. Sometimes it looked like resistance. And sometimes it simply looked like a woman refusing to shrink herself. Whether you identify as a witch, a spiritual seeker, a skeptic, or someone who's just curious, I hope today's conversation reminded you that there are many ways to cultivate meaning, resilience, and connection. The most powerful spell that you can cast is choosing to live authentically. The strongest ritual that you can practice is consistently showing up for yourself. And the greatest transformation often begins not with a wand or a crystal, but with the quiet decision to believe that your voice, your intuition, and your life matter. That kind of modern magic I can get behind every single day. All right, ladies, if today's episode resonated with you, I would love for you to share it with a friend who could use a little more magic and a lot more self-trust in her life. Be sure to subscribe to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices, wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please leave a rating and review. It really helps more women discover the Hive and become part of this incredible community. I'd also love to hear from you. What does modern magic mean to you? Do you have a meaningful ritual, spiritual practice, or grounding habit that makes you feel empowered? What are some of the creative ways that you have ritual and meaning in your life? And did anything surprise you? Join the conversation in our Hint Hive podcast Facebook community, and let's inspire one another. Until next time, ladies, remember, stay bold, stay curious, trust your intuition, keep challenging the status quo, and, as always, keep amplifying women's voices. See you next week, ladies. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.